Continue to dialogue with him. What the ultimate goal of mine was find Malia and find out what happened.
Malia has now been found. Her remains identified. Cornell, I do want to point out there were hundreds and hundreds of comments when we posted the video of our interview together. One of the things that was brought up a couple times that I want to clear up, some people saying that maybe you say some of these things because you're looking for the reward money. Do you plan on collecting the reward money here?
It is a standing policy here in Houston, Texas for well over 20 years that community activists and pastors, etc., who work on these criminal cases, they are not paid Crime Stoppers rewards. Crime Stoppers has never paid me a reward. From the very beginning, I knew that for years, and so I have no financial opportunity to make anything from this case. And even if they offered, I wouldn't accept it.
Well, I'm glad we cleared that up. I wanted to make sure, since there were a couple people that had posted about that. Joseph, just to bring you in here, when it comes to gathering all of the evidence, if there are more charges to come, it is all about the forensics. What are the investigators doing right now? Because we know that that little girl was out there for a long time. We know her body was so badly decomposed.
Yeah, they've got a real uphill battle, and one of the problems here, and I'm going to be very graphic here, her body was disposed of in a plastic bag, thrown along the side of the road in rural Arkansas, and it sweltered in heat for a protracted period of time. This is diminishing the evidence all along the way. We talked about previous abuse, this sort of thing, and what was, in fact, her cause of death. But one area that this is complicated in is reports are coming in that that her body was actually run over by a lawnmower. And that is horrible in this case, and it really destroys a tremendous amount of evidence that would otherwise be difficult to ascertain given the level of decomposition. But now this has just been, it's fraught with error all along the way, and the police have a tremendous road ahead of them.
Yeah, nevertheless, getting that confession was so key, Cornell. Normally, it's these detectives that have years of experience. How were you able to get this information out of Darion Vance?
This is not the first time that a suspect has confessed a homicide to me. In fact, this is the 52nd case that I've worked on where I've successfully turned in a murder suspect and received a confession about a crime. The technique that I used, I've always kept quiet, but it was something that I was taught inside the Nation of Islam in what you call FOI class. We were given a manual, and in that manual we were taught how to deal and interact with people under very strenuous circumstances. And I've used that manual for well over a decade in dealing with these cases, and I've been very successful with it.
What are some of the things you said to him, and what was his response?
I don't want to go too deep into that, but it was two grown men talking, having a serious man-to-man conversation. To be honest with you, it was like two brothers on the corner who have a different set of circumstantial understanding with each other. In other words, it's like two brothers with a beef, and we talking man-to-man, face-to-face. That's exactly how the conversation was, because he was arrogant. He was straight up. Wasn't no remorse, and I was very candid and straight with him.
Joey, when it comes to getting justice for this little girl, and it comes down to what Cornell X just said, what do you make of that?
You know, I make of it that it's going to be compelling testimony in the event that it goes into a court of law, in the event that everyone has a right to a jury trial. Certainly he deserves, is entitled to the presumption of innocence and not to be condemned and to have a fair trial, and perhaps there's some explanation we should hear. But just process it, Lynn, as you are, as Joseph Scott Morgan is, as the viewers are at home. Just think about that. What he has done basically to this Cornell X is he's giving testimony. And while he's not revealing the specifics, so he could be true to the investigation, which is most respectable, and be true to the investigators and to preserve that right to a fair trial, I mean, you're going to look as a juror, and you're going to say, hey, is this person credible, number one? After you get out of the credibility issue, which I believe him to be highly credible, you get into the nature of the testimony itself. And when you talk about not